gigantic JBLs, you know, and he had them cranked, and I could not hear a thing.
So that Shotgun Tom Kelly basically had his speakers cranked just like the real Don Steele did.
Oh, most guys do. Most guys do.
So it wasn't just a Shotgun Tom.
No,
real Don
it's
thing.
because you got all these other things going on, and you just have to be aware of exactly where you are. You know, you know, never miss a. You are aware of every second, every minute, because you know for many years you were dealing with songs that were 2.5, 3 minutes. You know, and even with a 3.5 minute tune, you know, you're moving, and that's why you call him a jockey.
Exactly, and they play the music themselves. Did they have their own board operators, Shotgun and?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mornings. They had a guy, but I don't think anybody else did. Now, it was interesting when I was on KHJ that, you know, they all did. You all had it, you know, and I thought, why? You can do better, you know, if you're running the board yourself. But, you know, you get to the point where the guy running the board, he knows exactly where you are and what you're thinking, so they anticipate you. I didn't like it myself. And they said, well, we got a engineer for you in the morning. I said, no, I don't want it.
Did they grant your wishes, or did you still have a board engineer for that?
Did I what now?
Did they grant your wishes, or did you still have a board engineer?
No, you know, but there were times where I do recall having one, but I can't remember specifically. Most of the time, I ran my own board.
Ah, okay.
Most of the time.
There we go. And speaking of board, and last time we left off, we were talking about we're going to talk about UHF.
Oh, yes,
which was a classic 1989 movie with Weird Al Yankovic, which he co-wrote.
Was that 1989?
Yeah, with Jay
Levy. That was a long time ago.
And what happened was this movie came out. I remember seeing the coming attractions. I think what really drew me to it was, number one was Weird Al Yankovic, but number two, they parodied Geraldo with the flying chair that happened the year before, but it said Town Talk with George. I'm thinking to myself, what is this all about? But I missed it in theaters because it was pretty much here and gone.
It was. I did see it in the theater. I didn't think it was going to make it into the theater. But the guy told me, I said, is this going to be released to, producer or whoever? And he says, no, it'll be in the theater. But it wasn't there long, maybe a week.
Wow.
And I did see it, but, look quickly. It's gone. But it's had a whole new life ever since. I just got a residual check for $151. So somebody's playing it. Oh, you know what? It was streaming where most of that money came in. They get a lot of people streaming it.
Well, it did really well on VHS, and then it ceased publication for nearly a decade. Then finally, about 21 years ago, they put it out on DVD, sold a whole lot of copies there. In fact, Weird Al and director Jay Levy did, is it Levy or Levy? I don't remember.
I don't remember which way he pronounced it, but I'm sure I asked,
But either way it's pronounced, they were.
Because I remember asking a similar thing when I did a trailer for something with Eugene, and I said, is it Levi or Levy? And they told me Levy, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm, every time I mention a name, now which way was it again? Is it Levy? Levy?
Because it's funny, because some people pronounce, like you said, there's Levy Restaurants, which caters a lot of the ballpark food, and then there's Eugene Levy. Yeah. And I wonder if, I'm sure somebody pronounces out there Levi, just to shake things up and twist things around.
Well, in the words of Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive, I don't care how you pronounce it, Bachman, as long as it's spelled correctly on the check.
There we go. Speaking of Let It Ride. And with the movie, with UHF, I just remember Weird Al and Jay Levy or Levy or whatever it's pronounced, doing commentary over the film. And I guess you got some residual checks then, and now you're getting them now with streaming.
Streaming and DV, and then it still gets played. They'll have, it's amazing. They'll have international, domestic cable, and it goes on and on. And now one of the new ones that I see is streaming. And I said, I didn't know we got any money for that. And apparently we do.
There we go. Even though Orion is bankrupt. To quote
and I
Orion.
remember getting a letter from them. And I said, well, I'll kiss off those, any money from that. But at least I got paid at the time. But then they came back and paid all of what they owed.
That's good. And how long were you down in Oklahoma for when you did the film?
I never did anything in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
We all did it right here. In fact, I think they were the Cole Studios. What in Hollywood, one of those studios. I always thought that I forget the name exactly, but they're right in the heart. And I think they were the old Chaplin because they were in that area.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe,
Dang. So you got to work with Machine Gun Kelly in the section as well.
Yeah, they did. We did everything in the recording studio, but we went to picture. In other words, we stood in there with headphones on and looked at a giant screen, and then they would give you little tones in your headphones when they wanted you to come on. Deet, 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 and then you go.
Oh, wow.
And which makes it kind of easy.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of a longer process. It's just doing the lines wild, and then they can lay them in. But, for example, they'd give you a direction. Right after Michael Richards pulls a string out of his nose. And then you go. Or whatever.
Now, I know that Machine Gun Kelly did the Spatula City commercial, the voiceover. Tell us which specific commercials and ads you did for the movie.
Yeah, I did. I did a whole bunch. I did a kind of a combo, what you would call a combo promo spot. Tonight on U62, it's bowling for, what was it?
Burgers.
Bowling. See, you know it better than I do. Bowling for burgers. And then, we had 2 or 3 shows in there. And then, I don't remember exactly, but another place in the movie, they had the Geraldo satire. Road maps! Then, oh boy.
And Geraldo got a TV show after that flop of the Al Capone falls.
Yeah.
But hey, if he hadn't, we wouldn't have had so many parodies
Exactly.
in UHF, so there's the payoff.
Yeah, there was maybe 1 or 2 more that I can't remember. If I watched the movie, that's me. But
hey, getting paid for it, right? So that's
and still am. And boy, I'll tell you, at the time that I did that, I had no idea residuals. All these years later, you said 1989,
yeah,
and I just got a residual for 151. That might have been. Well, I forget if that was Married with... The 2 that I still get residuals are Seinfeld and Married with Children. Seinfeld a lot, because it runs a lot on cable. And it never ceases to amaze me, Because that wasn't... Well, that was later. That was about 97 I did that. But even, UHF still comes in. Married with Children is another one. But what I didn't know about UHF, it became a kind of a cult favorite. Because the guy didn't. I said, "Oh yeah, I was in that movie." He says, "You were not." I said, "Yeah." And he checked the cast, and there I was, and and he said, "Oh wow." And I said, "Well, you like it?" And he kind of likes it, the all the satires. The Stallone one, I remember that one specifically where the movie opens up.
Your worst nightmare. And then,
you're the disease, and I'm the cure.
Or Gandhi, no more Mr. Nice Guy. And...
Yes. Now, that was another guy, and I can't remember his name. Conan the Librarian, was
That's
that
right,
it?
yeah, there's another one. There was Trinidad Silva did Badgers. We don't need no stinking
no, I
Badgers.
did that one too, I think. Raoul's Wild Kingdom or something.
That's right,
like
yeah.
that. I think I'm on that one. I don't know.
And
It's
sadly,
been a while since I've seen it.
And sadly, he died during production.
Oh, did he?
Because originally it was supposed to be the mailman doing this, show because they were hiring just people from the neighborhood.
I didn't know that.
And so they decided to keep the footage they had filmed of him doing the show. But since he never got to do the mailman delivering the package and being hired, they decided to say, "Where'd you hire this guy? I don't know. Where'd you get him? I don't know. Where'd you get him? I don't know. Who got him? I don't know." They're like, puzzled about who hired this guy doing these badgers being thrown out the second story window. So they managed to, get creative and work with what they had.
Wow.
In fact, what probably was
idea
funnier.
because that actor I had seen in another movie after I did that. And I thought he was a fine actor, too.
Yeah, I mean...
It was a dramatic role that I saw. I think it was with Robert Duvall in Colors, which was kind of an L.A. gang type of story. And he was in... And I thought, and that was the guy, But they had a lot of us in there, and we were all recording. I guess, they probably considered it a looping session. For a lot of us, it was just a recording session. But, a few of the people, in the movie had to do a couple of lines or whatever. And, and it was, and Weird Al, very quiet man. He kind of whispered to the director, and I don't know what he was saying. But I thought, why is he whispering? Because I think he wanted to give the direction, but he recognized protocol. The director is, the guy. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could kind of call him, although not credited with the role, maybe he was the first AD of sorts.
Yeah,
because usually they're kind of the food chain is if you've got an issue, you don't talk directly to the director, you talk to the first AD who then talks to the director.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just it was like going into any other recording studio. Because a lot of times on TV promos, you go to pictures too. So that was nothing new to me. But I had no idea, that they were going to have all these people in there. And we all sat down and sat around for a while, hurry up and wait, the usual. And they were pretty good. They lined people up. And, I got a nice... I chatted a little bit with M.G. Kelly.
Oh, cool.
Because, we were both alumni of KHJ.
That's right, yeah.
And I can remember years ago, Kathy Gorey, who was a late-night personality in L.A., and she was dating or married the director of The Exorcist. Or something like that. And anyway, M.G. Kelly was in that. He was the priest. And that was, way before I had even entered the realm of, voiceover acting. So.
Well, I worked with Machine Gun Kelly. In fact, my first internship was at Oldies 93 CBS FM, and MG was one of the people that I hung out with along with Benny Martinez and Hurricane Allen. And he was really cool to work with. I really enjoyed that experience. And I just remember when he'd begin his shift, he'd be making it look like he was just, arriving right at the last second. The funny thing was that really was the way he was. And so he made fun of his always arriving at the very last second on the air every single day.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way you do it.
Should have told that to Shotgun Tom Kelly, who arrived 1 minute before airtime. Hey, you better believe it, baby. I love you, Tom. I love you.
Oh, I'm Shotgun Tom Kelly here. Well,
I love Sean. I talked to him quite a bit.
He was a really cool guy too. I got to meet him a couple of times. In fact, I was at the Spurtvac convention about 9 years ago. It was me, him, world famous Tom Murphy, Chuck Southcott, and he talked about in 1972 when he was at 1170 KCBQ in San Diego. He said he got a brand new reel-to-reel of the latest album from John Lennon. This thing was so brand new, it wasn't even typewritten. It was written in ink. And so he cracks open the microphone, has the reel-to-reel all queued up, ready to go. It's like, all right, 1170 KCBQ. Hey, it's Shotgun Tom Kelly. I got with me an exclusive, a brand new single from the record company. It comes from John Lennon, who used to be with the Beatles. Here is John with his latest single.
Like he had to tell the audience that?
Yeah. Here is John with his latest single, I'm a Gene.
Yeah, that's boy. Don't handwrite those labels, huh? Well, Shotgun, and he's such a nice guy. I mean, I talk to him all the time. Hey, we got to get you down to the house, play some pool or something, And
doesn't he have like a set that looks like the Tonight Show or something?
I've never been to his house. He never invites me. I mean, he always says you got to come down to the house sometime. But Shotgun Tom Kelly never invites me to any reindeer games, DJ games, whatever you want to call them. I've been snubbed.
I just remember, the first time I heard the name Shotgun Tom Kelly was probably about 28 years ago. A guy named Bill Earl, he had written 2 different books. He wrote one called Dream House, talking about the history of KRLA radio from its inception in 1959 until the year the book was written in 1991. The other one was a scrapbook called When Radio Was Boss. And it had scrapbook material, survey folders from KHJ, 136 KGB, and the one from KGB had Shotgun Tom Kelly. Now, this was before his Smokey the Bear hat. He had a mop-top hairstyle and was clean-shaven. He took his glasses down and said, somebody's watching you, Shotgun Tom Kelly, 136 KGB, 9 to midnight. And so I was wondering, who is this guy? I mean, it sounds familiar, but I didn't know it. So about 6 months later, I was driving to San Diego and trying out for a college. I didn't actually end up going to that college, but I heard Shotgun Tom for the first time, and I thought, that's the guy that does that weight loss or those spa commercials. Start today at Holiday Spa. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I'm hearing, I was like, this is a really cool sounding DJ. And I realized I could get 105.3 KCBQ while at the top of the 134 freeway between Glendale and Pasadena. So whenever I was driving on that freeway, I would always turn on 105.3 and listen to Shotgun in the afternoon. Of course, it would only be for about 5 minutes because it would soon fade out. But it was a fun thing to do. And then a couple of years later, he was on K-Earth 101 for about 18 years here in Southern California.
Well, I'm trying to get an air check, and I asked him, this is only about a week ago, I said, I'm getting from KFRC, Jim Carson, when he was on that, I'm getting an air check. Because I was going to put a compilation of, the traditional top 40 stations, not necessarily in the glory days, but, so I wanted to get one from Jim. Then I wanted to get Shotgun from KCBQ, and he said he didn't have any, which... If you know Shotgun Tom Kelly, that's impossible. You don't have any of your air checks? He said no, or maybe he doesn't like him and he didn't want me to hear him.
Well, it's interesting you mention that because I remember my dad was friends with Brian Byrne, Mr. Rock and Roll. And I
talked to Brian from time to time.
I saw Brian at the radio, was then called the Museum of Radio and Television, eventually became the Paley Center, and they had the AM DJs there, and Brian was one of them there, and they were playing a bunch of old air checks of all the DJs who were there that day, from Casey Kasem to Dan Ingram to Art LeBeau. And I said to Brian, hey, do you have the air check of your very first day at K-Earth 101? And he said to me, I got very few air checks. That's what he said to me.
Well, no, and it all came from, I wanted to get those because years ago, we were doing the anniversary of K-Earth, and the imaging guy, Keith Smith, he came up with some air checks from Don Steele his first day when they brought him back to K-Earth. And then he put that together with one with Robert W. Morgan, and him and Robert W. talk, and it's hilarious. And I asked Keith again, can you get me a copy of that? Because I used to have it on my computer, but my computer went, and I lost it, no backup. So Keith said, well, I'll see what I can do. But we'll still try to dig something up, and then you can put together a whole bunch of stuff, you know.
Exactly. And with that, we're going to talk about more air checks and more great stuff
Yeah,
next
I got to
time.
see if we're on the air.
Exactly. We're not talking about this air. We're talking about some other air
Another
somewhere
thing,
out there.